Hey coders, hope all of you are doing great. My name is Dolatus and in today's project we're going to build this amazing Pac-Man game. During 90s, Pac-Man game was very popular in Nokia phones. So in today's project, I have decided to build this game from scratch. We're not going to use any external framework for building this game. We will use pure JavaScript to write all the functionality, all the designing, all the movement, everything we'll do it pure JavaScript. So this is going to be a great learning for you if you want to learn JavaScript and become a JavaScript developer. So let me show you that what are the function we're going to write into this Pac-Man game. So as you can see, our Pac-Man can move right and left, and when our Pac-Man will eat the food, as you can see, the score will increase and we can able to play the music. As you can see, we can able to increase the score and play the music. And when our Pac-Man will eat the power palette, the color of army will change, and our Pac-Man will get a chance to eat the army and reset their starting point. So let me show you. So if you can see, now our Pac-Man has a chance to eat the army and remove the Pac-Man back into its position. So as you can see, the army is in the back of its starting index. So this is another function we have to write, like we have to write for the game over, game collision. We have to write the control over the keys that our Pac-Man should not move through the walls, and this is how the game will over. And same, we're going to write the function for the game winning. So once our Pac-Man will eat all the power palette and all the foods, our Pac-Man will win the game. So these are the things we're going to create. This game is going to be amazing, and I'm very excited for this project because this will give you a very good understanding of JavaScript, good understanding of math float property, then how we can use set interval for creating the movements. So that's all we're going to look into this game very deeply, and that will help you to increase your knowledge a lot. So make sure you watch it along with me in this tutorial to learn everything about it, that how you can build this amazing game, and you can share with your friends and family. You can do the modification in the designing, so you can do tons of things. So here in this tutorial we focus more on the JavaScript. So let's start building this game from scratch, and I hope you would enjoy it. Let's begin the game. So the very first thing I will do, I will create an HTML document. So for that I have to come here and I have to click on this plus icon, and here you have to provide the name to your document. I'll call it Pac-Man Game Development. So this is the name which I have provided to my HTML document, and as of now you can see I have nothing in my HTML document. So that's all code for this game we're going to write in the same document. I'm not going to include any external file like CSS file and JavaScript, because the main focus of this tutorial for building this game is to focus on JavaScript, and we have to write only 2 to 3 pieces of code for HTMLs, and we have to write very small CSS. So I don't think that I have to include extra file for the CSS for the JavaScript. So that's why I'm going to write the entire JavaScript, entire CSS, entire HTML documents in the same DOM. So first thing what I will do, I will generate a boilerplate. So I'll give this exclamation mark and I will hit the tab, and this is the power of Emmet. So if you're using Visual Code Studio, it will come with Emmet feature which help you to generate boilerplate for all your syntax. As of now you can see that I just hit the exclamation mark and hit the tab, it automatically generates this boilerplate for me. So those of you who are using Sublime or any other text editors, I must recommend you to give a try to Visual Code Studio, because this will help you to increase your coding speed very fast. So let's start coding this game. So the very first thing I will do, I want to change this document name because we are building amazing game like this Pac-Man. So I'll call it Pac-Man game. This is what I will call to my documents. And first thing, so I'm going to write my CSS. So for that I need a style tag. I'm not linking any external file for the CSS. Now I have to write JavaScript for this game. So I'll create this script tag. Here inside this I'm going to write all my JavaScript. Here I will have to write all the styling. So we are done with the basic setup. Let's see that our document is working fine. So I'll come to the body and I'll take this h1 tag and just give a name man game, and I will save it, and let's go with live server to find out that everything's working fine. So as you can see that our live server is connected with our HTML documents. So I must recommend you to install a live server. So those of you who don't know about live servers, just click on these extensions and just simply type live server. So as you can see that I have already installed in my Visual Code Studio. So whatever changes I will make in my HTML document, it will automatically start displaying in the browser. So that's the power of live server, and this will help you a lot. So I have taken this h1 tag. Inside this I have to create 2 div with the classes. One div is going to be our game box, and second one is going to be the score. So for that I will create a class with container, and I will hit the tab, and it will automatically generate the boilerplate for the classes. In the same way, I'll come here, create a class for score, and inside this I will write score. So this is the text I have provided. As you can see, whatever we are doing here, it automatically taking place when we save the document. So we need only these 3 pieces of HTML code for creating this game. The entire focus of this game to write JavaScript. So I will also provide an ID to this container. So I'll say container, because we have to target this container with the help of JavaScript. So I have to provide ID to this, and I will provide the ID to the score because I have to display the score. Now let's start creating the board on our DOM. So first thing I will do, I will provide some styling to our h1 tag. So let's do some global settings first. So I'll remove the padding and margin from our document, from our browser. So I'll give M, then dots, and I will provide the 0 and hit the tab. So this is the power of Emmet. You don't need to write the complete code. You can use this shortcut. And that's same for the padding, and I will save. As you can see, everything is, all this spacing and padding is removed from the document. Now let's do some styling to our HTML document. So I will target the body to make everything in center line. So I would say body, and inside this, first thing I would do is I'll say top is going to be, because I want to make everything in center line, so I'll say top is going to be 50% and left is going to be 50%. And I'll use the transform translate, and here I will provide the value to -50%, again -50%. So this will help me to bring everything in the middle. And one more thing I have to do here, and I will also provide the position to this document. Position is going to be absolute because I want to adjust the things as per the document. So as you can see, everything is in the middle, and I will say align item in center. So everything would be in the middle. So before we do any styling, let's change the font family of h1 tag. So I'll say h1, and I'll say font family is going to be Georgian. It's my favorite. You can pick whatever you want. So this is the font family which I have assigned, and the size looks good, so I don't need to focus on the size. So now let's start designing the container. So for that I have to target container, and first thing what I will do, I will provide a width and height to our container. So I'll say width is going to be 560 pixels and height is going to be 560 pixels. Why? Because I have to create 28 grids from horizontally and vertically. The reason why I have taken width 560 and height 560, because I have to create 28 horizontally and 28 vertically, total number of grids. So what I mean by that, this is 28 and this is 28. So because of that, I'm taking the total width is 560. Now once I'm done with that, what else I have to do? I have to display the box into our document. So for that, I'm going to take this border, and border is going to be, let's say, 2 pixels solid, and I will provide a black color to this. You can provide hexagon code, whatever you want. So as you can see, this is how our document is looking right this moment. Let's make this h1 tag in the center. So I'll say align item is going to be center. Nothing is happening because here I have to write justify content is going to be center. Display is going to be flex direction is going to be column. So everything would be in the middle. Let's give some margin from the top. So I'll say margin from top is going to be around 20 pixels to the score. So where I have assigned, I have assigned to this. Let's comment this out for a while. We'll do that later. So let's create the grid inside this. Now let's set the display property to our container. So I'll say display is going to be flex, and flex is going to be wrap is going to be wrap. So let's start designing the grid which we're going to create with the help of JavaScript, because we have to fill out all this grid with this wall, with this PacMan enemies. So let's target the div. So I'll say container and div, because inside the container we're going to create our divs. So this is the main container, and inside this we're going to create our divs. So I will provide a width to 20 pixels, and I will provide height is going to be 20 pixels. So as I told you that the total the width of this horizontal and vertically is 560 pixels and height is 560 pixels. So if you calculate this, you will get 28 grids from top and bottom. So that's why I've created this. Now we are done with the div. You have to congratulate yourself that we have successfully written some codes for the PacMan games. Now we are moving ahead, and I'm really excited for this amazing game. Now the environment is set for creating the wall. So what are the things we're going to create? We're going to create this wall, this food, palette, ghost, PacMan, and we have to restrict our PacMan to enter into this, and we have also to make our army scared, so we have to write codes for that. So let's come back to our documents and let's create wall first. So I'll give a name, generic name wall. So for the wall I have to assign I'm going to use image, so I'll say background and I will use image for that. So I have already provided you all the image, so this is the images I want to use, this brick. So let's come here and let's say brick. So this is the image I want to use for the wall. Once we've done the image for the walls, now let's create food and power palette. I'll say power PELLET palette, and I'll provide this power palette. As you can see, it's a green, so I'll provide a background color is going to be green. You can give whatever color you want, and I want to make it circle, so for that I have to provide a radius. Radius is going to be around 10 pixels, and that's it. Now let's move to the next one. Now we have to create this food, so I'll say PacMan WD food, and I will, as you can see, it's a green in color, so I will say, let's say green, and it has a border around this square, so I'll provide a border is going to be around, let's say 10 pixels, and I also make this box sizing is going to be border box. I want everything to be in the exact location. So we have created our food. Now we have to create our army. Altogether we have to create 4 army. So I'm creating army 1, army 2, army 3, and army 4. So again, I will just simply replicate this, and I'll use this background because I'm going to use the image for displaying our army. So again, I will give this class, and here I have the image for army. Let's come, I think this one is the image. This one is, yes, this is the image, ARMPNG. So I'll give this last and ARMPNG, it will give me suggestions. So I have created this. The first army is successfully created. Now let me replicate this 3 times, because altogether we have to display 4 army. So I'll press this Shift Alt and down. It will help me to copy the line. Now I will change this to 2, and I will change this 3, and I will change this to 4, and I will save it. As you can see, nothing is happening in the browser because we're going to call all these classes with the help of JavaScript. So just be with us, you will learn a lot of things about JavaScript. Now let's come to the document. Now what I have to create my PacMan. So let's create PacMan. So I'll give a class PacMan, and again I will take this background, and I have this image of PacMan. So which one is, let me see, SRC, this one is it. PacMan is also there now. So now we have to create 2 more classes, one for the scary army and the one class which we're going to assign inside this box, so our PacMan is not going to enter into the box. So allow, it's a very generic name. If I'm making any spelling mistake, forget about that, just focus on the logic. So I'll take the background color is going to be, let's provide white. I'm not going to take any image, so here I'm taking hexagon code. So this is what I have assigned. Now also create a class for a scary army, so I'll say AR, and for this I will take a image. So I have an image for that, so I'll take this URL, and this is the image which I'm going to use it. So it's SRC, this is the image, so SCRPNG slash SCRPNG. So we have successfully written our complete CSS. If we find that we need to write any other CSS, so we can refer to this document, but for now that's it. Now come to the main part for writing our JavaScript to make this game functional. Right now we have nothing in our PacMan games, so the very first thing I have to do is to target the container and display score, because we're going to display the score, and with the help of container we're going to display our PacMan, our walls, our enemies. That's all we're going to do. So first thing I will do is I'll take this let. I'm using let, you can use var, you can use const, it's totally up to you. So I'll target, say, dot get element by id. So as you can see, I have provided this main container, so I'm targeting this class with the main container, and same for the score also. I'll say lay score, and I'm targeting with the id which I have assigned display score. So I have successfully targeted the both ids and classes. And by the way, don't be confused about this double quotation and single quotations, like you can use any one of this. JavaScript is very acceptable language, so it will accept your. So we have successfully targeted the container and a score. Now I have to assign the width, create a new variable with the name of width. Width is going to be 28, the all 28. because we're going to create 28 squares horizontally and vertically. So that's why I have also let's create score, because I want to display the scores. So initially the value of score is going to be 0, because we want to start the score from 0. We don't want to start from any particular number. Now here's come the main thing. We have to design the layout of our game. It's totally up to you. I have already designed my layout, so I'm going to simply import the layout. You can easily design and change as per your. So this is the layout I have designed for this game. So this layout and this layout is both are same. So let me just minimize it a bit. And this one is wall. So as you can see, these ones are walls, and these zeros are food. This one is food, and this 3 is our power palette. And inside this 2, you can see, let me zoom a bit. So this 2 is this portion where we have restricted our Pac-Man to enter. So this is how I have designed the layout. You can totally do it by your own way. You can easily change this number from 0 to 4, and you can design your own pattern. So this is for this game. I'm going with this pattern. So let's zoom a bit. We have our layout. Let's come to the original documents, and the very first thing I want to do is to create an array. Why it's looking like this? Let me make it a little bit out. Yeah, this looks good. Let's zoom it a bit. So the very first thing I want to do is I want to create a const. I will take a const, and I will take squares, because whatever div I'm going to create individually, I'm going to push those div into squares. If it is not making any sense right this moment, just follow along with me. You will know what I mean by that. So I will take a const squares, and I'll take an array, but initially I'm not going to assign anything inside this array. That's all I'm going to do with the help of push method. So I have taken the square array. Now I have to create a loop for creating those div. As you can see that we have 1, we have 2, so altogether we have to create 560 grid top to bottom. So let's create div first. So for that I have to write a function. So let me give a comment here. I will say write this section, like I'm just making this comment so it becomes very easy for all of you when you will go through this code, that which section is for which part. So the very first thing right now we are focusing here is we are focusing on creating the board. We want to display our like walls, we want to display our food, we want to display our like power palette enemy. So for the time being we are focusing on that. So create board, this is the comment I have given, and inside this I'm going to write the function for create board. So I will write a function, and I will give a name same, and inside this I'm going to use the for loop method for creating the loop. So I'll say that for let I is equal to 0, and if I is smaller than layout length. So we are talking about this layout. So these number, this is going to be 1, 0, 2. So this layout I'm talking about. So I'm saying that layout dot length. So whatever the length of the layout, if I is smaller, not 1, I is smaller, then what you have to do, you have to increment I by 1, 1. So I have created the loop. Now let's focus on the main part, and I'm going to give this curly braces, and inside this I'm going to create a individual square. So I'll take another variable, let square. Square, this is square. You can give whatever name you want. This is squares. Inside this we're going to put all the divs which we're going to create with the help of this loop, and this is individual, so don't get confused with that. So I use the JavaScript inbuilt property for creating a div which is called create element. I'll say document dot create element. So this is the inbuilt property of JavaScript. Whenever you want to create any kind of element, you can use it. This function will help me to create a div in a loop. Once the div is created, now what I want to do, I want to display this div somewhere in our grid. So for that, here I'm going to target the container. So this container, because we want to push all this div inside this container. So what I've given the name is container. Let's copy this and let's come back here, and I'll just simply paste this. You can type it, you can paste it, it's totally up to you. And I will going to push this div, this square inside the grid. So I'm going to use the append child property. Is again JavaScript inbuilt method. Whenever we want to push any div, any element into a main div, then we use append child. Inside this I'm going to write this square. So now we have pushed all the divs which we have created with the help of create element into the container. Once we're done with that, now I want to push this squares inside the squares array, because right this moment our square array is blank, we have nothing in that. But we have to assign equal width to each of our square which we're going to display here. So we going to push this square into a squares array. So I'll target squares, I'll give a dot, and I'll use the push property. This will help me to push the square into squares array. So I'll do like this, and I will give a name square. So now all the divs we're going to create with this loop, that's all going to be pushed inside this squares array. Now here we have to write the function. So now I will write a if statement for displaying all those variables which we have created. This spelling is wrong, I have to, it's a bold, not box X. So I'll say if layout, I'm talking about this layout, index is I. If the layout I is deeply equal to, we are passing the value through this loop, I. So it's deeply equal to 0, and the 0 is our food. So if layout I is deeply equal to 0, then what I want to do, I want to simply target the squares I, and I have to add a class list. So this is the property of JavaScript. Whenever you want to add a class list, this is how you refer. As you can remember that in the CSS we have created all these classes, and now we're going to call all these classes one by one for displaying in our grid. So I'll use this add property, and I will give this, and I will hit this one. Let's see what happened. Yeah, I will give this, and inside this I'm going to type what the class was for the food is, like, yeah, food. Let's copy this one. I don't want to make any mistake right now. So I'll give this, let's save it, and now let's write the other functions. So else if again I will say layout I is deeply equal to 1. Now we have written the function for 0 index. So right now you might be thinking that what is this 0? So in JavaScript the numbers start from 0, like 0 is first index, like 1 is second index, third is 2 index. So this is how it goes on and on. So same thing, I will write the conditioning for the 1. So I'll open this parenthesis, and inside it I will say squares I dot class list dot add, and I will check what class list I have to assign. So in the index 1 we have a wall, so I'll type wall. Again I will save it, and I will say else if, write the condition layout I is deeply equal to 2, then what I have to do, I have to simply target the square, check, and add the class list and dot add, and the class list I want to add on the second index. The second index is going to be our power palette, maybe, I'm not sure, let's have a look. So let's come over here. So we have the wall, we got the food, we have to display our power palette. So it's a no, it's not a power palette, it's a ghost layer inside this. So second one is that. So I'll say this, and let's come here, and we have created a class for the scary army. So this not a scary army, I think I have not created that class, so let's create that class very quickly. So I'll say, no, I have created this, not allowed, this one. So let's copy this. Make sure you give the right classes to the locations, because sometimes you get confused with the classes which you have provided. So now let's write one more function, because altogether we have total 4. So again I will target the layout, and I'll provide it I, and I would say deeply equal to 3, and this time I'm going to display my power palette. So I would say that squares I add a class list, add is going to be power palette, power PLNET palette. So I think I have given the right spelling. Let's check it out. Power palette. I don't want to take any risks. Let's come here and let's paste, and let's save it. Let's come to the document. So as you can see, nothing's happening because we haven't called this create board function. So here we have to create the function. So I'll simply say create board, and the moment I will give this and save, you will see that our board is displaying. As you can see, we got our board displaying, but here is the problem. We have assigned the margin to our food, is why it's not happening. Let's see, border, it's a border radius. border is going to be, yes, its border is 10 pixels, and I would say solid, and I would take this hex code white. 10 pixels is too much. Let's say 1 pixels. It's very small. Let's say 2 pixels. Just let's say 4 pixels. Yeah, now we get the perfect shape and we have created our board successfully. So again, congratulate yourself that we have successfully created this board now. So now we have successfully created the board, and now it's time to focus on the Pac-Man. First thing we have to do, we have to display our Pac-Man. We have to set the condition that the Pac-Man should not go up through the walls and it go through this lane which we're going to assign. So let's display the Pac-Man first. I don't want to confuse you explaining all this thing that what we're going to do. So first we have to display the Pac-Man. So for that, at the initial, when the game will start, on that time I want that our Pac-Man should locate in a particular location. So for that I will say let Pac-Man current index is going to be, let's say 490. So this is the location I want to locate to our Pac-Man, and I will say square Pac-Man current index dot classless. I have to add the class list to display on the board, and I'll use the same property to add a class list, and we have created a Pac-Man class we have created. So I'll say Pac-Man and I will hit save. As you can see, our Pac-Man is displaying right up here. So we have successfully displayed our Pac-Man on the board. So those of you who can't see it, let me zoom a bit. As you can see, we have created our Pac-Man. Let me zoom it out. I hope you guys can see the codes clearly. So now we have displayed the Pac-Man. Now we have to add the movements to our Pac-Man. So whenever we click any key on the documents, like arrow up, arrow down, arrow left and right, we wanted that our Pac-Man should move according to the arrows we press on the keyboard. So for that we have to write a function. So I'll create a function with the name move Pac-Man. This is the function I would say. Now let me give this E because I want to have the control. So the very first thing I would like to do, whenever we press any key like left, up, down, right, so I want to remove the class list of the current index of our Pac-Man. So for that, square Pac-Man current index dot class list dot remove. So whatever the class name we have assigned here, we want to remove when we press the key. So I'll call which class I want to remove, Pac-Man. So this class I want to remove. So let me save it and let me call this function first. So now let's execute this function. So for executing, I would say document.addEventListener, and addEventListener wants a property which is, it could be click, timer, but for this game I want to listen keys, like which keys like the player has pressed on the document. So I'll say key up. So this is what I want to listen, and here I will call the function. So the function name is move Pac-Man. So this is the function which I have called it now. So now I want to remove the class name for the Pac-Mans. Let's scroll it down, and here I have to write the function. So for having the control, I'm going to use the switch statement. So for that, what I will do, I'll simply use the switch statement, and inside this inbuilt feature of JavaScript which help you to have control over the keys. So I'll say e dot key code. So what I want to listen, that when someone click arrow up, arrow down, arrow left, arrow right, so which or one of the key they have pressed on the document on the keyboard. So I want to listen to that. So this is the syntax. So I'll do this, and I'm going to use this case, and here I will specify the number of the key. So on the keyboard you have number to each of the keys. So you can simply search on Google that key code of right, left, up, down. You will find it out. So I know the key for up, down, right, left. So I'll just type it. So 37 is for the left. I'll simply remove this, and here I'm going to write the function for our key. So now I will use the if statement to write the condition for our PacMan movement on the left hand side. So 37 is the key code of left arrow. So I'll take the if statement, and I would declare that first I have to find out the current index of our PacMan. So I'll say PacMan current index, and I have to divide with the width, and if the remainder I'll get is not equal to 0. So here what I'm saying is that take the current index of PacMan and then divide with width, and whatever remainder, this is modulus, so whatever remainder I will get after dividing the width, if it's not equal to 0, so if this statement is true, then I want my PacMan to move left. So let me show you. So I'll say PacMan current index is going to be minus 1. So let me show you what I mean by that, and let me break this function. So this is the syntax of using switch statements, and let's come to this. This is here, this one. If I press the left arrow, it will move on the left hand side. As you can see, it got disappeared. The reason why it's happened, because once the PacMan is moving, I have to reassign the class which I have removed in the function. So I'll come here, and here I have to assign the class again, once again. So I'll say this, and I'll use the PacMan current index, and I will add a classless to use this add, and I will add the class list of PacMan. So I'll say PacMan. Now I will save it. Let's come here, and the moment I will press the left arrow key, it will move left. As you can see, our PacMan is successfully moving towards left. Let me zoom a bit so you can see, have a look. Let me refresh this one. As you can see, it's moving left. In the same way, we have to write for the condition for all the keys. So what I will do that, again, I will come here, and here I have done one mistake. As you can see, so when we use the switch state, we don't take this arrow, so we have to remove this one. This is not the right syntax, so let's remove it. Now come here, and here we have to take the another case, and 38 is the key for up. Then remove it. Let's come down, and I have to write the if statements once again. This time I'll check PacMan current index is going to be minus width. Why I have taken minus width? Because this time we'll go up, and as I told you that the total number of grid we have is 28 horizontally and vertically. So this time we are going up. That means we are minusing. So if we minus the current width with total width, and if that is greater than equal to 0, then I want to execute this function. Let me repeat once again. Our current index of PacMan minus width, and whatever I will get is greater or equal to 0, then I want to execute this function. So I'll come here, and here I will write the function. So what I want our PacMan to go up. So I'll say PacMan movement minus width, and I will save it, and I will break it this statement, and I will come to this document, and let's see, it's going up. Yes, as you can see, the PacMan is going up, it's going left, but we haven't written the function for other keys, that's why it's not happening. So let's zoom out a bit so you can see a good way. Let me refresh it. It's going up. So let's write the function for other two keys. So let me do it quickly. So I'll say case statement. I will take 38 is the next key, and I will hit the tab. And this time I have to take the if statement, and this time I would say that take the PacMan current index and divide with if the remainder we get is less than minus width then 1. Sorry. So here what I'm saying that take the current index of PacMan and divide with whatever remainder modulus will get. If it's less than width, then I want to execute this function. So let me format this document so it will come in center. So now here I have to write the condition. So I want to change the PacMan current index to be right. So I want to move my PacMan towards right because 38 is for the right key, right arrow. So I'll give this plus and equals, and I will assign 1. Let's come here once again and let's see whether it's working or not. I have to use this break statement, break, and let's save it. Let's come here and let's see it's working or not. It's not working. Let me check what happened, why it's not working. Once again, it's going right, left is going up, but it's not going right. Oh, I made a silly mistake, like it's the 39, not 38. Let me save it. Now we can able to have this function. As you can see, our PacMan is moving left, it's going right, it's going up. Now let's write the function for the lower key. So I'll say case, I'll say 40 and remove this one. Again, I don't know why this auto suggestion taking this. So let's do it and let's check the PacMan current index plus. Why I have taken plus this time? Because we are coming downward. So every time we press the plus arrow, we will get 28 plus on that. So I want to plus the width, and I want to check whether width multiply width. So the total number of like squares we have in the grid is 5, 60. So I want to check for that. So as long that this pacman current index is less than this, then I want to execute the function. So again I will write that pacman current index is going to be plus equal to the width. So let's save it, let's format my document, and let's come here. Let's see, everything is working fine. Our pacman moving up and down. Let's go to the corners. Let's see what's happening. As you can see, we have set the condition that it will not go over this board. It will be there. Same for the, everything's look good now. But you have noticed one thing here, that our pacman is getting over this wall. Like, let me come here. As you can see, it's going over this wall. So we have to write the condition for this. And we also want our pacman should not enter into this, this square, in this box. Because we have created a class called a scare, like not allowed. So we don't want our pacman to enter into this box. So let's write the function for these two. So again, we'll use the same property. So here we are passing one argument. Here we have to pass two more arguments. Then we have to execute the function. So I'll take this end. And this time what I have to check, that I have to check the wall. Let me just refresh this. So it's blank because let's bring it back. And as you can see right this moment, this is how it's looking. So here I have to pass two more conditions. So I'll take this and this time I say not. I'll use this not property. So I'll say exclamation mark is stand for if your statement is true, then if you use this not, it will make it false. So it's just like sach ko jhoot, jhoot ko sach. Means like if your statement is true, if you use this not, it will make it false, and if you use it in a not, it will make it true. So this is how it's works. So I'll call it the square, and I'll call the pacman current index. So again I will check the pacman current index, and here what I'm doing, I'm checking that once we press the left arrow key, so the pacman will have -1. This time we want to decrement the value. So I'd say -1, whatever the current index of the pacman be when we do the -1 from pacman current index. So I want to check the classless of that particular place is contain. So I'll use this contain property of JavaScript. Contain property of JavaScript. So I want to check the class of that index. So if it contains wall, let me repeat once again. Let me format the document and let me repeat once again. Let me squeeze a bit. So here what I'm saying, let's what I've done, let's do it not out of the wall. So here what I'm saying, check square current index like pacman current index, then subtract 1 because we are moving towards left, and the location we allot, the index will come after minusing current index. Check the class list of that place. So I'm checking if it contain wall. So I'm here define that if it contain wall, then we don't want to execute these functions because our pacman should not go through the walls on the left hand side. So this is the condition is happening for the left arrow key. So this is the conditions. Now we have to write one more condition. We also don't want that our pacman should enter where in this portion. So for that I have to write a function. I will say same square. I will check the pacman current index -1, and I will check the class list. So I'll say class list is contain, and this time I'll pass the class list to not allow, I guess. Yeah, not this one. Food again, that one is okay. I think goes live. I think this one. So let me check. Let's come here and let's press this. So if I save it, and let's come to the browser and what I mean by that. So if I press the left arrow key, and when our pacman is start moving towards left, you will notice what happened. So it's going good. The moment it will touch like this index, it will not go there. As you can see, I'm still pressing the key, but the pacman is not moving. So that means our condition is working fine. Now let's write the function for the, let's come bring it here and let's take it up. As you can see, it will not go up. No, it's going for the arrow up because we haven't written the function for the up and down function. So now simply what I have to do here is simply copy this because we want to check the same condition for all the keys. So let's from here. So when you have to pass multiple argument to check multiple conditions, this is how you can do it. You can use the AND property. That means that check this condition, that all the condition has to be true, then this function will execute. So this is how this AND operator works. So this time again I have to change this value because I'm checking different values. So this time is going to be width. So let's do width, save it. Nothing is happening right this moment. So let's come back here and let's simply again paste this and check. It's going to be, this time is going to be +1 because it's going towards right, so I have to make it plus. I have to make it plus, then save it, then come for the third one. So again I have to do simply paste this one, and this time I want to check width plus width, so I'll plus and width, and same for this one, same for this. Let's save it. But why my PacMan is not displaying? Why the board get disappeared? So I think there is a mistake I have made. So let me see what's the problem, why the board is not displaying. I think I made something wrong here. Yeah, why I got this double. So let's delete this portion. I think this is something wrong I've done. Save it. Nothing's happening because we have to change this value. So I'll say plus width is going to be that, and let's do the same for the second one, is going to be width. Let's save it. Let's see what's wrong. As you can see that the board is not displaying because here I have done a mistake. I want to give this bracket, and I will save it, and I will have it back. So we have successfully set the condition for our PacMan movement. Let me show you that how our PacMan will move. As you can see, let's come here and it's going left, and right. It's going up, down, but it's not going through the walls. Let's come back here. Let's try to enter into the box. So it's not able to enter into the box because we have restricted our PacMan to get into this side. So we have a full control over our PacMan. Now let's write a function for this. But as you can see, like, I want that my PacMan, when should it enter into this? It's not going there. So I want that when we just try to go right inside, our PacMan should come from this side, like this side, the other side. Like from there, I want to, like from here, I want to PacMan come from outside. So for that, let's write a function. So like, I'm going to check from the, because we are going from left, so I have to write a function here. So I'll simply write here, say if square PacMan current index is -1. So here I'm talking about the left arrow key, that's why it's -1. Check is dp equal to square what index? 363. So I want to check this index. So let me show you what I mean. Simply, if I come here and I will type 363, you will notice our PacMan is displaying here. But I don't want my PacMan should go here. I want that when our PacMan should enter into this wall, it should come from here. So that's I want. So I'm writing the condition for that. So I'll just make it back where it was. So I'll save it. Let's write up here. And now let's write the, so if it's true, if this happens, then I want my PacMan current index is going to be 391. So which is this location. I want to come my PacMan out here. It will go from here and it will come out here. So let's save it and let's check the conditions that it's working or not. Let's go up and let's try to enter into the wall. As you can see, it's going up. Let's see what's happened here. So the problem here I'm having is, oh, this is the mistake. So I have to call this function above this is if statement. So I have to call it here. Now I think it will work. Let's see. Let's come here. Let's go up. Let's try to enter the wall. And as you can see, we have successfully got the function. Same thing we have to do, replicate this one because we want to use the same function for the right arrow. And we want to place it right above here and just place it simply, format document. That will make everything center line. And this time what I want to check for plus. And this time I want to check for this location. I don't want that when it's good plus, it will come here. I don't want to do that. I want to make my PacMan come out of this place. So this time what I will say, I will call it, sorry, 92 because this is the index 92. So I'll say 92. And where it will come out from? It will come out from like 64, which is this location. So let me show you. If I say 364, the PacMan would be here. So that's why I'm writing that condition. So where I was, so there, let's see, let's save it and let's come here. So if I come, if I go up and if I go this to this location, it's coming out from there. If I enter into the wall, so we have successfully have the control over our PacMan, where it will move, where it will not move. So we have created the function for our PacMan movements. Now we'll move to the next part of this game, where I want that when our PacMan touch any one of these food, we want to remove this food, and we want to increase the 0.1. We want to increase the score. So for that we have to write the function. So I must tell you that it's quite long. It had been 30 minutes we are making this video. So go ahead and have a cup of tea, and if you are good, then continue with this tutorial. So now start writing the function for eating the food. So I'll give a comment, food eaten. So whenever our Pac-Man come to this location, at the location of the food, we want to remove the food, and we want to increment the score, and we want to play the sound as well. So let's write that function very quickly. So I'll write a function, and I will give a name, food eaten, and let's write the function. So now I have to check when our Pac-Man will eat the food. I have to check the current index of the Pac-Man and the food index, and according to that I have to find out that what actions I want to take. So here I will take a if statement. Just follow along with me, you will know what I mean by that. So here I want to pass a condition. I will say that if square Pac-Man current index, so whatever the current index of the Pac-Man contained, if the class list of the current Pac-Man index, so right now as you can see it's now no classes are there, but when it will contain, what contain? It will contain the food class, because these greens are food. So if it contain food, so here I have to pass the food class. Let's check Pac-Man food, is that the class I have provided? Yeah, no, sorry, Pac-Man food. So this is the class I have provided. So let's just paste here. So what this code means, that whatever the current index of Pac-Man, if it contain the class list of Pac-Man food, then what I want to do, I want to play a music, sic music.pl play. I want to play the music, but you might be thinking that how? So first we have to import the music into our JavaScript. So let's come up here and let's declare the music. So I'll use let, you can take const, totally up to you. So music musics, and for taking a music into a JavaScript, this is the syntax you have to write. New audio, and in this you have to specify the file. So the music name which I have saved is, let me see what the name of the music is. It's a fruit. Let's save it. Now we can easily able to call this play music. So music, I want to play the music. Now I want to increment the score. So I'll target the score and give the plus, and this will increment score 111 like this. Whenever our Pac-Man contain any one of these classes, it will increase the score. Now I want to display the score into like here. So for that I use this display score, and I'm going to target inner HTML is going to be let's say score, because I have to assign the value. So this is, I want to display the score on the document. Now I also want to remove the food class from the documents. So whenever our Pac-Man will touch this, it will disappear. So this is what I want to do. So again I will target the Pac-Man current index. I'll set the class list dot remove. What class I want to remove? I want to remove like Pac-Man food. This is the thing I want to remove, and let's call this function. So that's the function I want to execute. Let's paste here and let me save it. So let's come to our HTML document. Let's see it's working or not. So as you can see, our Pac-Man is moving. The moment we touch the green, it has to remove the class and increment the score and play the music. As you can see, the scores got increased. Let me zoom a bit here, and you can hear the sound noise. Yeah. Let's go up. So it's working fine. So we have written the function for the food eaten. Now what we have to do, we have done all the function with related to Pac-Man. So now we have to write the function for our army. First function is going to display them on the board, then we're going to work on the movement of the army. So let's write the functions. So for displaying our army on the grid, as you remember that I have already created these classes at the beginning, army 1, army 2. So we're going to use this class, and I'm going to use the JavaScript inbuilt features like class constructor for displaying our army on the board. So I'll call it, let's give a comment, SPL display army. So this is the name I have given, so you can understand that which code is working for which part of the game. Use a class constructor. So I'll say class, and I'll give army. You can give any name to this section, but make sure it's in the capital. And the first letter of this text should be in capital, and I will use this, and I will write constructor. So this is the syntax for using the class constructor, and then this. So the parameter I'm going to pass inside this class constructor is, first is class name, because we want to display them on the board, and second is going to be the speed. They're going to move all over the boards at the beginning, and we also assign a starting index. So I'll give a class name, and I have to provide a start index, start MDS index, and I also want to assign speed. I want our army to move in a different speed. So let's come here, let's write a function for this. So first I have to call them, I have to initialize the value. So first I will use this represent this object. This is what the function. So I'm not going to explain all these the function which I'm using. I'm just explaining and how you can implement that. So if you want to know that what is this represent, then I have made a complete tutorial on that. I will link that in the I button so you can have a look. In a nutshell, what this does, like here I'm passing this value. So this is referred to this, whatever the values I'm going to pass along with this. So I will say class name. So this is referring to this, and I will set the value to class name. And let's come to write the next one is going to be, you got the point. What I have to do, I have to write start index, and I have to like a start index speed, and here I have to define the speed. I want to take two more things. One is going to be the timer, because I'm going to use set interval for moving the army all over the boards. So I want that like timer. So I want one more. So I want one more object is going to be a timer, TIMER. Let's give ID, timer ID. And for the timer ID, initially I want to set the timer to none, because I'm going to create a loop for that, and with the help of set interval we're going to write this function. So initial value is going to be none, and I also want to specify the current index, and for the current index I'm going to target this start index, and I want to create one more object, and this is going to be our scare army. As you remember that we have created a scare class, so we want to target that class as well. So for that, what I will say, for that I'll give a name is SCARED, scare, and initial value is going to be false, because we're going to create a loop for that, false. So we are done with our objects. Now let's write the value. So let's come out of this, and let's call it ARMYs, armies. So I'm going to target all that, and in this I'm going to create an array, and inside this I'm going to pass the values. So to passing the values, this is the syntax we use. First we're going to use new, and we have to specify this army. So AR army, and this in this bracket, inside this we have to pass the value. So first value, I'm going to say that we have total 4 classes with army 1, army 2, army 3. So I'll call those classes. Let's see once again. So army, so I start with small letter. So ARMY, army 1, and let's provide the starting index. So here I have taken the array. In that I have assigned classes index and speed to our armies, and we're going to use it to display on our board. So first thing what we have to do is we have to call our army, and I'm going to run for each method to display our army on the board. So what I will do, I will say ARMY army, and inside this I'm going to check the army current location. So I will say ARMY army dot current location, current index, you can call it location, and I will add a class list. I will add, and this is the catch. Here we have to provide the army because we are targeting individually on our army. So we'll call that army, call the class list which we have assigned to our armies. So army 1, army 2, army 3, army 4. So it's going to create a loop, and it will display on the board. So we have assigned this way. Now here we have to assign the army on the current index. So this, and I will say army is going to be dot current index dot class list dot add, and here we have to type the class army which we are running through this loop. So this one we are assigned to this. The moment I will say, we will find that our army will display on the board. So let's do that. So as you can see, our one army is displaying. Let's see what happened to the others. So let's see, is there any error in our console? So what is happening here is is not a function. What it is not a function. Oh, this is the mistake I made it. So instead of class name, and sometimes this is very irritating because Emmet will automatically add the syntax, and that's create a problem. So it's going to be list, and the moment I will save, we will find that we have all our army on the board. I hope you can able to see that we are successfully display our army on the board. Now let me zoom out. So this is how it's happening. We have assigned the index to each of these army, like this is the index and this is the speed. Right now it can see that it's not moving at all because we haven't created the function for that. So let's create the move army function. So the very first thing I would do is I'm going to create a function with the name of move army. So again, I will create an army. On this I'm going to use a for each method. Inside this I will again specify the army, not s, and I'm going to use this arrow function on move army. Inside this I will specify, because I have to move them individually, so I have to assign the army. So this is the function. So our function is ready. Now I have to create a function for move army. So I'll say function.move move army. Inside this I'm going to specify the army, army, and our function is ready. So now what we have to do, so now we have to find it out that where our army can move. It can go up, down, right, left. So first we have to find out the direction where our army can move. So for that I will say I'll take another variable. In this I'll say mydir, direction. Dir means directions, and I'll take an array. It can go -1, it can go +1, it can go minus width, it can go up, which is a minus width, and it can go plus width. So I have taken the array of the directions. Now, so I got the direction of the army, that what are the possibility where they can go. But here I want to move them across the board randomly. So for that I have to write another. I have to just define the random function. So I'll say let dir direction, and this time I'm going to call the army dir. And here I will use the math float property because that will give me an integer. So I'll make this bracket and I will use the math float property, and I'm going to create a random function. So float, and inside this I will call a math random, that will generate me a random number. So let's random, and I'm going to multiply with direction length. So army, so the direction army dot length. So let me explain that how this code will work. So we have to specify the direction randomly. So for that we are using the random function here. It will generate a number between like 0.0 to 0.9. Any number it can generate between that. So whatever the number it will generate, we want to multiply with this army direction length, which is 4. So whatever number we'll get, we want to use a proper integer. So that's why I'm using map4. Again, I'm telling you, I made a complete tutorial that I will link all in the I button, so you can have whatever property we have used. But this is how it works. So here we have got the random direction for the movement of our army. Now we're going to focus on the movement of our army, and we'll use the set interval function for that. So as you remember that here we have taken the, let me format the document, and here I have taken the timer ID is equal to none. So let's call the function. So for calling that, what I will say, I'll call an army. So I'll call army individually. I have to call them. So here on this, I'm going to use timer ID function and timer ID, and I'm going to set function set interval, and set interval want functions and speed duration. So we have already created the speeds. So inside this, I will create a function. And here I have to assign this. As you remember that we have assigned speed to our army 1, army 2, army 3. So here I have to write army 1 dot speed speed. So the speed will work like this. So the speed we have passed here, it will assign to this, and this will assign to this, and this is how the loop will create. So inside this we have to write our function. So what we want to do, very first thing, inside this set interval, so the very first thing here, we have to check for our army that where our army can't move. Like as you can see, we want our army should not go through the wall. Okay, this is one condition, and we also want them not to overlap on each other. So this is the condition we have to check. So for that I'm going to use if statement. So I'll say if, and as I told you that this is not, because this not will make like true statement to false and false statement to true. So I'll say square army dot current index dot class list dot contain. Again I'm using the contain because I want to check the index of the army where it will move, and if it's contain wall, so if it contain wall, then we don't want to move our army there. And one more argument I want to pass is if squares army dot current index classless dot contain what, this ghost, this army. So I think I have created the class for the army. I created a scare army. What? This army, ARMY army, this class. The class is this class. So if I save, nothing will happen because we haven't executed the function. So allow it to this. Let's save it. You will get the entire board back on. And once both of these true statements, and once both of these statements are true, army. So we said army dot current index will plus equal to what? Direction, or is directions. And by the way, here we have to pass one more because I forgot to mention the directions. The directions, because we have to add the direction into the current index and then we have to check the value. So plus the direction. Now let's save it. If the statement is true, then what I have to do, I have to print the army in that index. So I'll say square ghost square army dot current index dot class list add army dot class, and here I have to assign the class ARMY army. So as you can see, our ghosts are moving. So as you can see, the army is moving, but here is a problem. We want to remove the current index when they move to the next one. So for that we have to write a function, else then we have to paste this one. So this will happen continuously. As you can see, it will move. If this statement is not true, then it will follow this statement. But as you can see, it's getting filled with the army. So let's write the function for that here. And we want to remove the previous classes of this army. So how can we do that? So it's a very easy. We have to write this code. Let's simply, we have to check the army dot current index and class list dot remove. We have already used this property before, remove. And what I want to remove, army dot class name with what? So here I have to write the army. So again I have to write this, and army dot current index dot class list, not class name, list dot remove, and here I have to type the class name. So I want to remove it from army, army to scary army. So as you can see that here we have created a class with the name of scare army scare. So I want to remove that. And let's come back here, down. Okay, yeah, this is the locations. Inside this I have to give the class name. Let's save it. As you can see, now our army is moving randomly in all the directions. They're not overlapping each other. They're moving randomly in the box. So we have worked beautifully in the movement of our army. Now we have to write two functions. One function for eating the power palette. So in that, what we want to do, when our PacMan will eat this power palette, we want to change the color of our army to scare army for 10 seconds, and in that 10 second we'll provide an option to our Pacman to eat the army and send them back into their starting index. So this is the function which we have to write. So let's first write the function for making them scared. So for that, what I have to do for that, we're going to write the function right below here, else statements. Let me bring it down, and let's write the function here. So the first thing I will do, I will write a scare function. So as you have remembered that I have already created a class here like is scared. So is scared, I have already assigned the value to false. So that's what I'm going to trigger here. So I'll say if army dot is scare is true, then if this statement is true, then what I want to like army dot current index dot class list dot add. So I want to change the class list to scary army. So scary army, I want to change the class list. So I want to change the class list to scary army. So let's paste it. So this is the scary function for our army. So it will change the color to our scary army. Now I have to write the function and define that when our Pacman contain army index, so any one of the army index, and on that particular time our army is scared, then what I want to happen. So on that particular time I want to increase the point, I want to play the music, and I want to reset the army index to the starting index, and I want to provide 100 points to that. So let's write the function for that. So I'll call it if statement. Again I will take, and at first I will say if army dot is scared, if it's scared. So this is the first condition, and the second condition is square army dot current index dot class list dot contain. What contain? Can you guess? Pacman. So I want to check that if the army contain Pacman class. I'm forgetting the class again. So this is, I think, yeah, this is the class. Let's bring it here and let's pick. So I want to check the Pacman class list. So here what I'm saying that if our army is scared and it contains the Pacman class, then what I want to happen. So simply write the function for that. So on that time, the very first thing I want to do, I want to play a music. So I will play the same music. You can play different music. It's totally up to you. And I want to increment the score by 100. At that point of time, I want to increment the score by 100. And I want to remove the class of Go army. So I'll say dot current index dot class list dot remove. So I want to remove the class list of army to scare army when scare army. So I want to make all of them scare. So this is how I can call it, army dot select class, and here I have to replace the class with the class I want. So I'll want to replace with the army to army scr. So make sure you give this in double quotations or single quotations, totally up to you. Army scr with this class. Okay, and I also want to reset. So I also want to reset the, and I also want to change the current index to a starting index. So I'll say army dot current index is going to be army dot start index. So this is what I want to do, and we class back. So I'll say square and army dot current index dot class list dot add. So what I want to add is, first I have to assign that army dot class name, and here I have to type the class, which is army. So let's see, we are getting any error in our console. No, everything looks fine, but let's see what happens. Everything's playing, nothing is happening right this moment. So if I just come, let's do one thing. First we have to write the function for the power palette, then it will work in a proper way. So let's come back here, and the power palette function I'm going to write right below this function. So here I want to write the power palette function. So what if when our Pacman will eat this power palette, then I want to call the scary function And when I want to like call the scary function for the 10 seconds, so our Pac-Man will have the options to eat them. So this is what I want to write. So let's write the power palette eating function. So I'll say function power palette, and power palette. Inside this I have to write the function. So when our Pac-Man will eat the power palettes, we have to define that first. So for that I will take if statement, and I will say that square Pac-Man dot classless dot contain what? Power palette. So this green dot. So we have to define that. So let's copy this class and let's come back here and let's paste it. So if this statement is true, then I want to increment the score by 10. At first I will play the music, and music.pl play. It's totally up to you. You can play whatever music you want here. Just define the music in your, like here in your JavaScript, and then you can call that very easily. Now once the music plays, I want to increment the score by 10. So I'll say score, and I want to increment by 10 for eating the power palette. Now once the score is incremented, now I have to run. So now I have to run a for each on army to change the color and make our army scary. So what I will do, I will say army, and I'm going to run a for each on that, and I'm going to run a army on arrow function, and I will say army dot scared. If the army is scared, then it's true. I'll set the value to true, and then I'll run this function. I'll run this set timer function. So in set interval I have to pass a function and a timing, how long I want to do. So let's create a function quickly here by the name unscared. So I'll say function unscared, scared, unscared function, and in this I have to write a function. So what I will do, I will run a army. Now I will run a function on armies, all the armies. So I will say armies dot for each. I will run a for each method on that, and inside this I'm going to define that individual army. So army, and I would run a arrow function on this, and I would say that is not scared, then I would say false. So here what I'm saying, that I'm running a unscared function, so I'm running a loop on an army. So I'm saying that army is not scared, then it's false, and if it's scared, then I'm going to call this function. So here I have created the set interval function. So here I will pass this function name and pass this, and how long. So I want to keep the army scared for 10 seconds. So I'll write this value. So this is what will happen, that if this statement is false, then the loop will go on. But if army.scare is become true, then we want to execute this function, set interval function. So this is what this code means. And after that I want to remove the power palette class. So I'll say pacman dot class list dot remove, and in this I would call it power palette, power palette. So I want to remove this class. So let me call this function here. So let's save it. Let's come up here. I want to call it here, and let's see if I'm getting anything wrong in this console. No, I'm not getting anything here. So let's format the documents. Let me explain what I have done to make you understand if you haven't understood. So here I'm creating a power palette function. First I'm defining that when our Pac-Man will eat the power palette, I'm playing the music, I'm increasing the score by 10, and I'm running a for each method on every army. Army is get true, then we want to execute this function, and what we have defined in this function, we have defined this, and we have changed the color of this scary function. So this is what we have done here, and as you can see we are removing the power palette class. So let's save it and let's see is it working or not. So the moment I want to eat the power palette, I want the Pac-Man, the army color has to be changed. So nothing's working, we are not able to remove the Pac-Man. Let's see what I have done. So here I have made the mistakes, and you can see that most of the time this emit creates problem for you. So I'll simply remove this with the class name. Instead of class name I have to write classless. So let's come back once again. So let's see, oh there it is. So what I have done, I made a mistake here. Instead of set timeout, I've written set interval. So there, and let's see, it's working now. Color is increasing, and now we are successfully able to change the color. As you can see, the PacMan color is changed. And if I go back to the positions, let's create one more. I'm changing the color. Let's go there and let's follow them. And if I'm meeting, they can easily able to go back into this. As you can see, if I go touch them, PacMan, so you can easily able to remove it and go back to, and this will go into the starting index. Now we have to write a functions for game over and game win. So everything is working fine. So now let's write the function for game over and say function and game over. So let's open this, and when our game will over, we have to define the condition for that. So again, I will going to use this if statement. So first thing, our PacMan should not contain the class of army. So the condition would be like this: our PacMan should not contain the class of army, and that particular time our army is not scared. So this is the two parameter I have to pass. So I'll say square, and in this I will say PacMan dot classless dot contain what? Army army. This is one condition, and the other condition is this: like at that point of time our army is not scared. If these two statements are true, then the game is over. So I'll say square and army dot current index dot classless dot contain what? army src. So this is the class. So what I'm saying that our PacMan contain army, and on that time when the PacMan contain army index, on that time if our army is not scared, then we want that the game should be over. So the very first thing I will stop the game. So I will remove the add event listener from the document. So document dot remove add event listener, because the game is over and we don't want to continue that, and remove it. And inside this I have to pass the function name PacMan, and I have to remove the PacMan function, which is this function. I have to stop this one. So simply call the functions, and I want to remove this, and I want to do one more thing. I want to remove the set time interval. So for that, army dot for each. On this I'm going to say set time interval army individually, and I will run an arrow function on that, and I would say clear interval because I want to stop the game. What I have to clear the army dot timer id. So this is the function I want to stop, and if you want, you can play a music. It's totally up to you. musice music dot play. I want to play music, and I want to run a function is set timeout. So in this I will run a function, and I will declare alert, and inside this I will set a message that the game is over. Game is over, and let's save and let's call this function. So this game I have to call twice. So let's comment here, let's call the game here, and let's scroll all the way down to this, and let's see this function is working or not. So as we go up, as you can see, again something wrong is there. Let me see what's happened, why the game is not getting over. So the problem is here. Sorry, instead of, I don't know why I'm making a lot of mistakes today. The PacMan index, now it will work. So let's see, come back here. If I go up, if I have a contact with any one of these ghosts, again the game is not playing. What's happening? So as you can see right now the game is working fine. I did a couple of changes in the classes which we have created in the CSS. So I've just changed those classes because some of the classes getting auto suggested in Visual Code Studios due to the image. So I changed all the classes. As you can see, we have created the game mode function, we are tagging the PacMan index, then same we are checking the scary class, then we are removing the add event listener, then we are removing the set interval which we have created. with the help of this creator rather than playing death music and just displaying this message. So this is for the game over. Now let's try for the game win. So same thing I will do. I will create a function with the name game win, CHACK, check for game win. So this is the function I'm creating, and I have to set the condition for that. So I will say if score, so here I'm checking the score. If score is deeply equal to like 274, so if our PacMan get this scores, you can set whatever value you want to this, it's totally up to you. Then I want to run this function. First thing I will do, I will remove the add event listener. So I'll use remove add event listener, and same thing, key up, and here I have to set the move PacMan function because I want to remove this from the document. Now I want to clear the timer, so I'll say ghost dot for each loop, and in this I'll say ghost simply arrow function I will run, and I will simply clear the interval, and clear interval I will run. Inside this I'm going to pass the ghost dot timer. Once this function, this two function will execute. Now the third thing I want to do, I want to display the score. So again I will use the set timeout property, and inside this I will run a function and I will generate an alert, and I will say, I will take a string, I will say you have won the game, and let me call this function. So where I have to call this function, let me copy this and I will call it here, and let's go up and let's call the function here as well. So let's save it and let's play the game. It's working or not. So let me increase it and let's see. It's working fine. The color is getting changed, as you can see. We are able to change the color, and we're taking this. So everything's working fine. I'm really enjoying playing this game. Okay, let me save it myself. The moment I will reach to 74, I will win the game. Let's go up here. If I eat, as you can see, the PacMan got inside the its starting index. So everything is working. Collision is working. Scary is working, and so everything is working fine. So I hope you have liked this game. If you have anything to know about this game, like if you haven't anything understood whatever we have covered so far in this game, then do leave in the comment sections. Like the only problem we had in this game when we was writing the function for the game over, there I changed all the classes because due to this auto selection I was having some problems, so I changed all the classes, which you can do it. And if you follow